Hello and welcome to the Central Lyon George Little Rock Football Podcast, brought to you by the CLGLR Quarterback Club. We're recording live from the Rock River Brewery in downtown Rock Rapids. Now, here are your hosts, former CLGLR head coach Toby Lorenzen, current offensive line coach Dwayne Postma, and current CLGLR head coach Curtis Eben.
Back to pass is Zach. Now he's going to tuck. He's going to run. He's got room right up the middle of the field. Cuts to the outside. To the race to the corner. Will Zach get there? Yes, he will. Zach Lutmer's got the touchdown.
Welcome to the CLGLR podcast. This is our third episode of the season 2. We're going to highlight the 1998 football team. I'm your host, Curtis Eben, along with Dwayne Postma and Toby Lorenzen. Our guest this week is the Bull, Nick Krull, Bubba, Brad Lupkes, and Boeve, Adam Boeve. So that's all my nicknames I got for you. So we're going to go into, before we get into the season, we got some trivia and some Mount Rushmores we got to cover. So last week's question, which team was new to Class 3A District 1 in 1998? You guys can't answer, so. Anybody else? Anybody out there want to guess?
Repeat the question, please. Be quiet,
Which
Mitchell.
team was new to Class 3A District 1 in 1998? No. No, close though. Week 7 or 8, we played them?
The second question is going to be, who cares?
If he doesn't know the answer, he gets mad right away. I don't care.
Who cares if it's Storm Lake or whatever?
It's actually Estherville Lincoln Central. So.
Oh well, they were at least decent.
They were tough, but they were bad. All right, we're going to answer this week's trivia right now as we go. But what was new to the Iowa high school football in 1998? What was new to the high school football season that year?
What?
That might be a good guess. Was it 97 or 98 they started that?
No, I think it was 98 because I think they had to take a year in between to schedule the dome, I think.
So that
took Harlan
right.
took Harlan 2 years of bitching about it after we beat him to
that. There's no doubt. We're going to talk about it. Was actually 8-man football started that year. In 1998, 8-man football started. And leading into that, what rule changes by the High School Athletics Association changed because of CLGLR football?
That being one of them, semis in the
dome after Harlan lost.
Because of Central Lyon or Central Lyon George Little Rock.
Okay. Well, yeah.
Hint, hint.
Yes, either one.
Old guys.
So obviously the semis in the dome was one of them. After 1991.
Specifically changed rules because of what happened with Central Lyon football or Central Lyon George Little Rock football.
After 1991, anybody know what happens? Anybody listen to the podcast after 91?
Where did we play a couple of our playoff games?
Okay. After that, the state said no more games out of state.
No more that.
I'm sure playoff games.
I'm sure
games. Yeah.
I'm sure Emmetsburg whined about that enough.
Oh yeah.
I hope they're listening.
After the 1975 season, which was undefeated, the state came out and said that all teams undefeated will make playoffs.
I think it was the 76 season.
76?
Yeah. Nope, 75.
Okay, 75. That was one of them. And then the last one we argued about earlier, but the name change in the association book. So one year we were Rock Rabbits. The next year we were Central Lyon. That's why Clear Lake played twice at our house. So we'll.
They got to make that short little drive twice.
Yeah, nice little drive. And there was a long bus ride home.
So explain
Cold,
that, Coach.
wet bus
One
ride
year we
home.
were Rock Rapids, Central Lyon, George Little Rock. The next year we were Central Lyon, George Little Rock, Rock Rapids.
Correct.
And we got Clear Lake at home because.
So the first year was 98. We were Rock Rapids.
That's right.
And so we had them at home. And then the
The
following
alphabet
year,
was lower, yeah, and then.
yeah, went Z to A, and then the next year went A to Z.
And we beat them both years.
Yeah.
So just, again, some interesting facts as we go through. We're talking this week, we're going to talk Mount Rushmore. We're going to talk about wide receivers. Again, we're just putting off the tough ones that we need to talk about. But we're going to do wide receivers this week. I'm going to let Coach Postma start on the Mount Rushmore wide receivers.
Well, this is probably the toughest one because if you're going to pick this position based upon statistics, good luck and have fun, because we don't got a lot of guys out there with real good receiving statistics. You know, I'm sorry, all you quarterbacks and receivers, but when you look at the top 10 guys in our record book on receiving and passing, that's got to be some of the lowest numbers of any program in the state of Iowa. It's just got to. And I'm kind of proud to say that because I'm sort of a run guy myself. But, okay, besides that point, had we been in the style of offense that threw the ball more, these are my 4 guys that I think would have had phenomenal statistics. And in our system, they had great statistics. But it's not always just about that anyway. Anyway, Reed Gertis, not necessarily in this order because we weren't asked to do that. Reed Gertis, Riley Van Wy, Jordan Acevedo, and Carter Krull. My 4 on Mount Rushmore.
All right.
We'll debate it afterwards if you got a problem with it.
Yeah.
All right, Coach,
Well, as we talk about tonight, you'll realize why I never put any of the 98 receivers on the list. We'll find that out in a few minutes.
I was one of them, Tobin.
That's right.
I'm not
That's
the
right.
receiver.
Yes. Yeah, you know, we had some amazing athletes, and a few of these guys that are receivers didn't get their due. And we, like you say, Dewey, if they were playing in a pass-happy offense, they'd have phenomenal records.
Yeah.
But and a couple guys that I kind of considered are going to be guys I'm going to put on later on kickoff return or whatever. But the 4 I put on there, first one was Tyler Starr. Extremely scary. You know, the only CLGLR guy to step on the NFL field, I believe, and you know, he was an amazingly tough kid to cover. The next one was Riley Van Wy. You know, he played dual positions. But had a phenomenal year. Would have had another phenomenal year as a receiver.
We actually did throw the ball a little bit more during.
I believe he had 33 receptions. It's one of the higher receptions of a lot of them in the year. Then the last 2. The next one was Kurt Conaway. Some of you that go back a little farther, you remember Kurt Conaway, and he and Stube, when Jason Stubbe throwing him the ball, they had some amazing connections. And it's a lot of you remember the Sergeant Bluff game where they basically single-handedly came back and beat Sergeant Bluff with just those 2.
Not only that, but he was a great returner too.
Exactly. And the tough one, and the last one, obviously, is Jordan Acevedo. You know, if anybody saw Jordan Acevedo play, the kid was lightning quick and had some phenomenal games. And he's my 4th guy.
All right, that leaves me left, I guess. You know, I can't argue with both of you guys' list. I'm going to start off with, again, Jordan Acevedo. Jordan actually had 200-yard receiving games his senior year. So interesting. Wow. Talk about stats, but that was pretty impressive. I'm gonna go with some local guys, or some recent guys because of our probably because of our offense more than anything. But Cooper Speed has got to be on there. Yep. Kid's got incredible hands, ran routes extremely well. I'm going to go with Carter Krull, a kid that I felt like when we made the switch in the offense, adapted to it, and I think he's in the top 5 for receptions. That last one, I'm probably going to go with Curtis Conway. And like you said, I think him and Stubbe had something special. And so those are my 4. And, again, there's a lot of points of arguments with those because of the offense we ran. But, again, a position that's pretty deep. We look at athletic ability, but just not a lot of stats. So,
all right. Coach, before you go on, I got to reverse a week, go back. I know my wife is listening, so I got to do this because she said I had to. When we did the Mount Rushmore for centers last week, there was a couple of them that wouldn't have been on Mount Rushmore for me, but they deserved honorable mention. One of them is sitting right over here now, Drew DeGroat. This year's team, Drew DeGroat, I thought Jeff Gakey played exceptional center. He was a one-year guy. And this particular team we're going to talk about tonight, Drew's older brother, Dustin, we had a lot of, and we did mention this last week, and I want to reiterate it. We had a lot of kids in those days, particularly a little bit back a ways, where we repositioned them to center. A lot of times we were just flat out hurting in that position, so we repositioned kids. That's not an easy thing to do. First of all, it's not an easy thing for a skilled kid running the ball, all that kind of stuff, getting the stats to move to the offensive line. And on top of that, learn the position. Joe Kennedy was another, did a great job. So we had a whole bunch of those guys, but the ones I really wanted to give a shout out to was Drew and Jeff Gakey. They played exceptionally good center for us, and they were on my honorable mention last week. Hi, Sharon. That was for my wife.
Oh, okay. Just good deal. All right.
You can do that when you're one of the hosts. Until you get fired.
All right. We're going to move into the part of the show that we're here for tonight. The 1998 is our focus of this episode. Just a quick review of the season. The team won 11-1 this year, had 22 returning letter winners, Class 3A District 1 champs, state semifinalist. The coaching staff that year obviously was Coach Lorenzen was head coach, Coach Schmidt, Coach Postma, Coach Van Berkom, Coach Van Beek, Hank Grant, and then crazy Cody Carlson was on the staff. So could have been a trivia question just who the coaches were, because I forgot all about that guy. I hope he's listening. Good Gandhi, I hope he's listening. We're going to go through the roster here quick. I'm going to try to go fast. There's a lot of guys to cover, and but you know, this is the roster from the state semifinal game. There's only two guys with double positions. Everybody everybody was a one-way player, basically, besides two. So, but it's funny looking at this roster compared to today's stuff. But number 2, Jake Vanderzee, senior. Eric Olson, senior. Trent Herta, junior. Brady Grafing, senior. Jeff Cruz, senior. Adam Boeve, captain, senior. Danny Schoeneman, junior. Eric Clevinga, junior. Justin Overman, sophomore. Jeremy Bogard, junior. Josh Cruz, junior. Tim Lamons, junior. Stan Metzger, senior. Justin Meyer, junior. Reed Kruger, junior. Steve Krogman, captain, senior. Troy Schilling, senior. Nick Krull, senior. Matt Shard, junior. Justin Bathke, junior. Curtis Eben, junior. Justin DeYoung, senior. Dustin DeGroat, senior. Nate Robb, junior. Brad Lupkes, captain, senior. Aaron Drenth, senior. Greg Versteg, senior. Wade DeGroat, sophomore. Philip Reeks, junior. Sam Huff, sophomore. Dan Roman, senior. Ryan Jern, senior. Derek Venegay, senior. Luke Stubbe, captain, senior. Wyatt Stubbe, junior. Adam Top, senior. Brad Tilley, senior. Ryan Enoble, senior. Brad Vogel, junior. Jeff Hassman, junior. Nick Van Berkom, junior. Corey Kempema, senior. And Jeremy Gakey, senior. Whew.
Ooh.
You know,
what a lineup.
Couple athletes within that name there,
Yeah.
in that roster there.
You got that right.
Wow.
Pretty impressive. But going into that year, we're going to talk a little bit about injuries. I think Adam Top tore his ACL the first game of the year, and I believe Nate Robb broke his thumb in preseason before we started the year, and he was out 5 or 6 games. Just notable things. I'm going to go through starters here. Left tackle, Wade DeGroat. Left guard, Derek Venegay. Center, Dustin DeGroat. Right guard, Brad Lupkes. Right tackle, Ryan Jerns. Tight ends were Corey Kempema, Brad Tilley, and Nick Van Berkom. Fullback, Nick Krull. Powerback, Curtis Eben and Brady Grafing. Tailback, Jake Vanderzee. And quarterback, Adam Boeve. Defensive ends were Aaron Drenth and Jeremy Gakey. DTs were Luke and Wyatt Stubbe. Linebackers are Steve Krogman, Justin Bathke, Curtis Eben. Corners are Stan Metzger, Trent Herta, and safeties were Adam Boeve and Eric Olson.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
Specialties.
Stanomatic.
Stanomatic.
Yep.
Stanomatic.
Okay. He, I don't think Stan started the year, but Danny Schoeneman started the year, but he was god awful, so Stan took his spot.
Stanomatic.
Yeah. So
Shoney, you're just punting.
Actually, Schoeneman kicked a field goal in the MOC game, about 35-yarder. It landed on the 5, straight up and down. He's still doing a helicopter. They take off running. He's still spinning because he knows he's mad he missed the ball. And the guy's running down the sideline because it's like a punt return now.
Yeah.
And our guys are kind of half stand there, but somebody went and tackled him. But it was pretty funny. But
And then came Stanomatic.
then it was over. The old toe puncher came in. Holder was Nick Van Berkom, and then kickoffs and punter Danny Schoeneman. So Managers, Stan Wissink and Ryan Jennings.
We're going to do a Mount Rushmore on managers.
We can
I
do
think we should.
All right.
We
I'll
had
write
some
down.
incredible managers.
Let's get through our positions first.
And Ryan Jennings was one of them.
I was.
Yeah,
I don't know if he's Mount Rushmore, but he was dang good.
Ryan Jennings is
He
good.
really was.
He actually made the Shrine Bowl as manager
There you got it.
that year.
Shriner.
Yep.
Is he our only one ever?
Yeah.
Put him on Mount Rushmore, baby.
Kevin and Brian didn't make it when he was 25.
I tell you what, he was a good manager too.
I know he was.
He's my cousin. So
Hey, before we go any longer, I'm sitting next to this guy right here. Let's congratulate Boeve. He got his 100th victory as a Morningside baseball coach. So
Hey,
way to go, Boeve.
way to go, man.
You bet. You bet.
Great
That's
job.
awesome.
Yeah. Obviously,
Got to watch a lot of them. Watch a lot of guys play, so not much I do with that except for
There
watch
you go.
Watch
Yeah.
them win. So
Yeah, take a little credit for it, buddy.
one thing we haven't done in the past, but obviously, Adam, you're down in Sioux City
Yep.
coaching baseball for Morningside. Nick, you're down by Fort Dodge.
Fort Dodge area.
Okay, and obviously, Brad,
Still here in town?
yep, lives in town here, works for Frontier Bank. But it's good to know where these guys are at. I think that's a big part of the broadcast and sacrificing coming up, and we appreciate that. And so,
What'd you say, Nick? You said you're Adam Boeve throw away from Berkey's backyard?
Yep, if I
Coach
had Adam
Berkey's
Booby's
backyard?
arm, I could throw a football to his backyard.
You guys had Coach Berkey as your freshman year yet, didn't you?
Yep,
Yeah.
freshman year, Berkey
That-
Memorial Mile.
There you got it, baby. He's remembered by those who he coached
Oh yeah.
That's right.
and coached with. At least I remember most of it. If you know what I mean.
going in, we'll move into let's move into the season here a little bit, 'cause then we can talk about individual stuff and people as we go along here. But we're going to start into game one it was at home against Rock Valley Boyden Hall. That was a 25-0 game. Little fun fact: did you know that was Corey Brandt's first ever head coaching?
I did not know that.
That was the first game he
Didn't
ever
know that.
coached for Rock Valley Boyden Hall.
For them, yeah.
Yep. So that was kind of fun.
I'll have to remind him of that someday.
Yeah. Ask him how his first game went as head coach. So,
Yeah, we got off to a good start. You know, we knew this team was going to be special, and we knew the guys on both sides of the ball were special. And you know, obviously, when we got two guys just playing two ways on a 2A football team in small school Iowa, you know that you got some talent, because obviously some of those guys that were only playing one way could easily have played two ways, but we just had good enough kids that play there. So we were happy to get off to a good start. If I remember right, I don't know if the races were running that night or whatever, but it's the typical first night game at Central Lyon, loud as can be, and it was rocking anytime we beat them.
Yeah.
did you know that our first touchdown that game was actually a pass? First touchdown of the season, 98, was a pass.
To Kemp.
Boeve to Kemp.
All right.
Wow.
Bootleg. I'm guessing bootleg. Bootleg, and then Kemp turned on the speed and
Yeah,
got
it
down.
has to be bootleg. I'm so
I
sorry.
think it was a power pass. I'm pretty sure it was a power pass.
Okay, that could have been.
If we were
yeah.
dropping back, it was a screen. So
This team was in the midst of an incredible run of tight ends. It was a vital part of our offense, not just throwing wise, but blocking wise. And Kemp fit right into it. Brad Tilley was tough, pound for pound, tough kid. Nick was tough, Nick Van Berkem. And then, we had Jeremy Clausen before that. We talked last week about Blake Gerhardt, and we moved on to some other great tight ends coming. But that was a vital position in our offense back then. And these guys did it great.
It speaks. Rock Valley Boyden had 76 total yards in offense, and Central Lyon George Little Rock had 255.
Yeah, and that was probably one of our lowest outputs the whole year.
And one of the things I like to look for is just look for the first downs. 15 for us, 3 for them. That to me, sometimes yardage can be a little deceptive, but we didn't have the yardage maybe we would have liked, but when you get 15 first downs to 3, you're gonna dominate.
Did you say Rock Valley Boyden Hall, or was it just Rock Valley at that point?
It was Rock Valley Boyden Hall back then.
Okay.
Yeah. Orange helmets,
Orange. They were wearing Rock Valley colors, but
Yeah.
they were Rock Valley Boynton Hall.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Got it.
I had to double check it when I was watching the
Yeah.
film on it.
It says this game was the first for Corey Brandt as Rock Valley Boynton Hall's varsity coach. So,
Okay.
yeah,
Got it.
crazy to think
Coach
that.
Eben, 62-yard run.
Yeah, they all fell down.
Touchdown. Nick Krull.
It's really good to to look good when you're in the backfield with like all these other guys, because then everybody just forgets about you. You can just get sneaky.
You got that right.
Now, how does this work? How long was that touchdown pass, Boeve?
I was going to try to find it.
count?
27. 27.
Had to have been
27.
long, right?
Oh, okay.
27.
Yeah. 46
27?
carries, 213 yards.
Yeah, I was. Yeah, Kepema
Throwing the ball.
You know, having Kepema go across the middle, whether you're bootlegging or whatever, just a big target with great
Yeah,
hands.
yeah.
It was a nice weapon to have. Like you said, you talked about the tight ends and the history of tight ends at Central Lion. But yeah, he was a good
right
one
up
to throw
there.
to.
He was on my Mount Rushmore. Yeah, no doubt. Yeah, good for you as a quarterback, obviously.
One thing about it, if you go back, all but 3 of the 98 games are on YouTube now under our CLGLR football account. So you guys can go back and watch the 98 tape. And so we got those uploaded this week, and Coach Cruz and I spent some time uploading them and watching it during our breaks. But one thing that I can say right now, there was a lot of people that laid in the ground during football games, and it wasn't our team. There was a lot of shoulders getting thrown.
Yeah.
Our punt return was, I know why they changed the rules now.
Yeah.
It was nasty.
Yeah,
Make no mistake, folks. When you stack up great teams, CLGLR, this was a semifinals team. So we liked, obviously it's great for finals and champions and all that. But this was a football team, man. I'm telling you.
Actually, Coach Mitch Lupkes and I kind of went back and forth on this year if the 98 team would beat the 06 team. Because I truly believe the 98
they'd match up to them incredibly well.
The 98 team was unbelievably talented. Obviously, the 06 was, but it would have been just an unbelievable battle.
Yeah,
But,
I
I think
agree.
98 would have won. But I mean,
Yeah, of course you're a little biased,
I don't know.
but
Do we need to get Mitch on record here? 'Cause
I can't hear Mitch right now, so I don't know what you're talking about.
that'd be great for me if we could get that on record.
Yeah, there you go, for future use, right? Yeah. For years and years, I was, people would ask me that too, and I know you and I talked about it many times.
yeah.
98's always at the top, as far as just the all-around team, all around the way that you guys physically dominated people. The old get off the bus and CLGLR's 14 points up. That always happened when we played with you guys. We got off the bus. Everybody that walked on the field with us was looking at us, not getting ready for their game. They were looking down at the other end and seeing what was going on down there because they heard about the show that was coming to get after them there.
Mitch and I were talking earlier today about how quick this offensive line got off the ball, but I'm pretty sure our fullback had something to do with that because
A lot.
what
to do
happened,
with
Brad,
it.
if you
got
didn't
your
get
ass
off
run
the
over if you didn't.
I'd be running right over.
You had cleat marks from the bull.
Yep.
It was either Nick or Kurt running you over if you weren't moving. So you got off the ball pretty quick.
Get up and move. Yeah. But like I say, our defense was phenomenal too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we gave up what? 56 yards.
Yeah.
that game?
Yeah. Incredible.
I mean,
Yeah. Yeah, 29 carries, 56 yards rushing. But when you talk great teams, and this was no different. Last week's was no different. The great teams start with the great defense.
Oh, yeah.
That's all there's to it. It's just automatic.
So we're going back, and we'll go through stats at the end of the season here. But so Krogman was 1, I was 2, and then Boeve and Eric Olson were 3 and 4 on tackles on the year. So that tells
2
you
linebackers, 2 safeties.
Yeah.
coming downhill, but it was that type of mentality, just always. It was.
Thank God you learned how to stand correctly when Coach Schmidt jumped on you when you were a sophomore. But we don't stand
Oh,
like
man.
that out here.
Oh, yeah. you had to learn quick.
That's right.
He was going to be on you.
That's right.
Then you put 2 Stoobies in there, and yeah, that's tough.
Yeah, the two
Absolutely. Yeah. That's right.
Yeah, Luke and Wyatt at DTs were. There had to be close to the best DTs combo.
Oh, man.
Because Luke was just powerful. Wyatt was so quick.
Oh, yeah.
They played good football.
You talk about that 06 front four, the defensive tackle tandem then, Scott Motter and Preston Perrette. But I tell you what, you got two of the Stubby boys in the same defensive tackles and the same defense. I'll take them. Sorry, 06 boys, but I'll take the Stubies.
You know, so then you had Jeremy Gakey at one defensive end and Aaron Drunt at the other.
There it is.
Jeremy Gakey is like he played such disciplined defense. Always put himself in the best position. I think he had a block punt, had a interception, one-handed like jumped up, grabbed it out of the sky. And then you had Aaron Drunt, who was probably not speed-wise, not very good. Not the most athletic kid, but extremely disciplined.
Yep.
Just a prototypical Smitty defense.
Schmitty guy.
What
Yep.
Schmitty
You know,
wanted,
and-
discipline.
Jeremy Gakey was just a silent assassin. He was one of those.
Oh, man.
You know, as much as his older brother talked, Jeremy just played.
Yeah.
You know. Yeah.
Always in the right place. How many fumble recoveries did he have
Yeah.
for that season?
Yeah.
Like just always where he needed to be to make the
Yep.
play.
Just
Yeah.
his hustle alone. That's and
Yes.
getting to the ball, getting to play, and so when you watch tape, you start like those type of kids. You start appreciating even more when you look at tape because it's impressive.
Oh,
It
yeah.
really is. You know, then you can go with linebackers. Steve Krogman. It'll be really hard to leave off as one of the best linebackers in our system because that dude brought it. Like you'd swear he's 220 pounds when he hit people. But there's a fullback from Clear Lake. 215, 210.
he was a
I think he went to
big-timer.
Wisconsin to play ball or whatever. Krogman hits him in the hole one time, and he's like running forward, head down, and Krogman stands him up, picks him up, and drives him backwards. And I'm thinking at 170 pounds. It was
170 pounds,
incredible. I'm not going to lie to you. When I was a sophomore and we did the tackling lines, I always counted 1, 2, 3. Oh, yeah, you go in front of me. I did not want to line up against Nick Krogman. I didn't care who. Well, him too. He was right there too. It was always trying to hide from him and Nick, both Nicks.
That's the only time he got to hit. He didn't play linebacker in the game, so he got to hit in practice. But yeah, Steve, I was joking with these guys before. Boeve didn't hear me, but Steve Krogman's dad would call me like on a Wednesday and say, "Hey, Steve won't be at practice today. He's got to work." Okay, thank you, Mr. Krogman. Appreciate it. We always knew that Steve was going to be there on Friday night, ready to kick some butt. Yeah, yeah.
Pound for pound, he was pound for pound. If we had a Mount Rushmore for pound studliness, definitely on it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that
definitely.
dude's good play ball, and it's even funner going back now and watching tape and really seeing just how fun it was. But in cover ground, he was fast, smart.
I just remember practice. Like there was nobody that you wanted to come through your hole less than Steve Krogman.
Yeah.
You didn't know if he was going to truck you right at the hole or if he was going to do his little shimmy right by you and make you look like a fool in practice. And Dewey's going to jump all over me. He's a great linebacker.
Yeah.
Yes, he was.
But we'll keep moving. Talk about week 2. Week 2 was West Lyon, obviously the West Lyon game. Just complete domination from start to finish. Probably we played extremely good. We just made them look bad. It's fun. It's even fun going back and watching it and just the domination that we had start to finish. I think they did a little swing or like a little out pattern to notches to begin with.
They scored first.
They scored, and after that that was it. That's all they did. I don't think they moved the ball after that.
You think of how good West Lyon's been over the years and how much of a pleasure it is to win games like that when you play those guys and how good that game felt. I remember how great we felt after that game and how well they did. I mean, didn't they end up winning the state championship that year?
They did.
Yeah.
They did.
And we pretty much handled them throughout that night.
On their turf, too.
Yeah.
Over there.
Yeah, that's right. That's
Yeah.
right.
Yeah, that was the game itself. So I went back and watched it. We owned them up front, but it was a tighter game than what I remember it being. Like, we won the game of inches, I felt like, in that game. Like, there's a lot of third and fourth down conversions where we converted them, and they got stopped short. But, yeah, we got plenty of buddies on the West Lyon side. I'll never admit that to them, but they're not going to listen to this anyways. But they were good. They had some dudes.
I think I do.
Well,
I
obviously they were-
remember him going against the kid that played at Iowa State, Luke Vandersanden, and
Jay Rosemuth said a while back that Luke Vandersanden might be the best DT that West Lyon's ever had. But I'll tell you what, our guard that night took care of Luke Vandersanden.
Who was that?
get that right.
Bubba.
man.
Bubba was on a little bit
Domination.
different level that night. He was all over it. When you can run a 37 dive for 80 yards, you know you're doing.
got that
You know,
right,
you know you're owning things. But I tell you what, that's fun. Anytime you beat them, like I said,
Give us some stats from that night. I can't remember the stats on it.
14 first downs to 9. We had 14. They're 9. Where was the rushing
total
stats?
offense. We had 294. They had 173.
Yeah.
Rushing, we were 59 for 277. 59 rushes. What was that? What back then? You could always say if you ran how many plays?
60 plays.
60.
60 plays. You're going to win a ball game.
Yep,
So
you got it.
Between Krull and Vanderzee, they had 37 carries for 157 yards. That was Central Line, George
You
Little
got
Rock
that right.
football.
We haven't even mentioned that's the first time Jake's names came up, but you realize, remember, we had, and we'll talk about it as the night goes by, we had 2,000-yard rushers in that backfield, and he was not one of them. So,
Yeah, I know it.
You know?
That's what's crazy.
That's right.
It's amazing.
I shouldn't say
Got
he.
the- got the
Everybody's
hand.
not seen me say he. Adam was not one of them.
You know, Brad kind of said it, but as the game wore on, particularly in the second half, we really did dominate as the game went deeper into the game. I do remember that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
our offensive line took
Yeah.
care of business that
Yeah.
night.
You speak about
we had-
that. Go ahead, Boeve.
Yeah, I just remember all those, some third and shorts, some
Yeah.
big, close
Move
ones
the
that we need to
chain.
pick up, some move the chains. Those guys dominated all season, really. I mean,
Yeah, it was a crazy deal coming into the season. We had a couple seniors on that team that I wasn't so sure about until they came back ready to go. And that was Ryan Jerns and Derek Venegay. But I'll tell you what, they changed their whole mindset, their physicalness, and they came back their senior years and they made that offensive line. They were big, strong guys that came off the ball. And they virtually didn't play as juniors. They came out of nowhere. Remember that, Brad?
I do.
Yeah.
I do.
And Dustin helped us, moved him to center, did a super job. You were actually the only real solid returner we had. Wade Grote, as a sophomore, filled in, did really, really well. That offensive line came a long way. I have to give that shout out, but there's some kids that really made up their mind they wanted to play football.
When you're talking, you said it, Boove, when you're talking third and shorts, how many third and shorts everybody in this room remember against West Lyon over the years? It's just a matter of battle on third and shorts, whether it be West Lyon battling us or us battling West Lyon. And we definitely owned it that night as far as picking up those things with tough running out of our fullback and our tailback, and obviously the offensive line getting it done.
Yeah, no doubt.
Brad came a long ways from not starting his first 2 games his junior year.
Junior year, yeah. Yeah, whenever these guys want to humble me, they always bring that up, Brad. They always bring that up. And unfortunately for me, I need to be humbled.
And I told
too
Coach
often.
Bolsma, I said, you make the call on that, who you think should be playing.
Well, at least I had the balls to make
There
the
you go.
change. Oh, dang it. Right, Bubba. Damn right.
If there's still
There.
a hole in Jim and
Stick
Jim
that
and
in your
Sandy's
pipe and
wall as a
smoke it,
result of
boys.
that.
All right. Again, it was a West Lyon game, typical good stuff. But there's an incredible amount of names on that football field that night.
Oh, yeah.
College athletes,
Jeez.
from even like Matt
It's a
McCarty,
who's
who's
who.
now is the head coach at Northwestern. But I tell you what, that was.
I still see
Again.
Matt quite often, so
Yeah.
it's nice to have that one under your belt.
Yeah.
It's
They're right.
nice one. like Coach mentioned, how good you felt when you won that
Yeah,
game.
yeah.
I never felt that good. I just hated losing. The
Right.
wins were just wins, but that one felt really good.
Exactly.
Whenever you beat West Lyon, it's always good.
Yeah, you're right.
And even as you grow older now, you run into those guys, and you do all the time, and like I said, you always get that to top off.
Yeah, no doubt about
No,
it.
I invited Rob Vane to come and talk tonight from West Lyon, but
You didn't want to?
Yeah, I didn't want to. So.
All right.
We'll move on. Week 3, we played Spencer. 35-0 ball game. Again, just typical.
Keep in mind, folks, this is 3A football now.
Yeah, start of 3A
This is
district.
3A football.
So, how many district football games did we lose in 3A, Tobe?
Well, he never lost. Boove never lost a single one as a starter.
That's right. Yeah, Boove never lost. That's
As a starting quarterback in 3 years.
That's pretty impressive.
Yep. Yeah, 3A was kind of glad to get rid of us when when we went down to 2A.
Surprised people didn't send Boovie a graduation card after that. Thank God, get that guy out of here.
Is he ever going to graduate?
the Spencer game, again, go through some stats here, but first downs, we had 17, they had 6. But, we were up 28-0 at halftime already. So
I'll read those rushing stats. It gives you a clear picture. Curtis Eben, 8 carries, 90 yards. Adam Boeve, 11 carries, 76 yards. Jake Vanderzee, 12 for 63. Nick Krull, 11 for 41. So you pick your poison in that kind of game. And I think early in the season they were trying to take Boeve away from us. So it's pick your poison with this kind of a team. It really is.
I'm pretty sure they were a state champion or qualifier a couple years before that, actually. They were still in their run of really good teams.
Yeah, they were.
The Moore kid and some of those kids playing.
Yeah,
There was a funny, towards the end, I don't know, I think it was still in the first half, they had a cornerback who was really animated on the field, screaming at his defensive line, and I noticed this, we got down like within the 5-yard line, and he's just hollering at his defensive line, arms waving around, and the next play we call a run to Kurt with Nick lead blocking. This kid comes up to fill the hole, and he bails. Like, just completely bails. Trying to go up against Nick. And I didn't see him waving his arms too many times after that. Yeah, I mean, you got dude his size coming at you in the hole. I don't blame the kid.
Like to hit people.
He did. Yeah. Didn't matter if it was on his own team either.
Sorry about that, Brad.
No, you're not.
That was a common theme amongst the offensive linemen, was how hard they got smacked in the back end from Nick coming in the hole. No kidding.
Dirk
that was
Venegay.
common.
Yeah, Dirk Venegay is 6'6" tall, so
yeah.
he got it right in back to shoulder pads quite a few times.
Absolutely.
I think Spencer was where the Dewey, your pregame speeches in that 3A. We kind of had the pregame speech hit us every week, and those are the ones I remember. Like, we're in the big town. They talk about the restaurants they have.
The McDonald's,
the fancy
Burger
jerseys
King.
that they have rolled up under the arm.
Yeah, a lot of
pads,
them
you
in
can see
Spencer,
their
man.
biceps.
You know what, Boove? That seems to come up every week when we talk
I love
about these
it.
big town teams.
I think you
know?
even talked about the Lakes boys, kind of the Lakes.
The pretty boys.
They had their tan going on. Yeah.
It worked. Like, we're sitting there like, you're right.
Yeah,
You're right.
it's
These
the
guys
truth.
think they're something.
Yeah,
They
the jerseys were shorter. Ours hung down to our wrist. Yeah.
Suntan, nice for the girls, geez.
We're like the
But
best.
it was the big thing was the McDonald's and the fast food joints.
Oh yeah.
Versus the Dune Steakhouse and the Shade.
Yeah,
Tree.
you would. You'd always throw in our
Ours.
stuff that we had,
Yep.
just to make us feel
Make us feel like
Inadequate about what we loved what we had.
Yeah,
but-
I know. I thought it was good. I was like, what's good? And dude, he's
Exactly.
like, you don't have McDonald's. I was like, I wouldn't eat there anyway, but okay.
Well, don't you know if you got McDonald's, you're big time? Yeah, that's America, man.
Well, I do now.
We found out then.
We did. I did bring that up a lot with those teams. I did.
It worked. It worked.
That's good to hear.
Stick with it.
Love it.
Going into week 4, 14-7 game against Lamar's. Lamar's was tough.
Oh.
And coming back, 97, they beat us in the playoffs. And so, we knew we were cut out. They had a quarterback, that Hector kid, that was extremely fast, but took care of business. They had a DN that Kemp and I think Kemp invited him to his wedding, right?
Yeah, I think they were pretty close after. Yeah.
I think Kemp referred to him as Mr. ESPN.
Yeah. You don't see too many incidents in the handshaking line, but we did that night.
That's right.
I loved it.
You have to refresh my memory on that one.
It was we were shaking. It was the kid was a Borchers kid.
Yeah, Corey
Borchers.
Played at Iowa State. I
No,
believe.
Iowa. Well,
Iowa.
he didn't play, but he was
Yeah.
going to go there.
And he mumbled something to Kemp, and Kemp, there's nobody going to
No,
out-trash talk Kemp.
what he meant about the camp was he goes, hey, you may beat us, but you can watch me on ESPN.
That's
Yeah.
what it was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now I remember.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Kemp just turned around. It
And
was like,
just went off.
Hey, Mr. ESPN, look at the scoreboard.
Yeah,
Look
check
at
the
the scoreboard.
scoreboard. That's what it was. Yeah.
Oh,
Kemp not to be outdone.
It's hard
No
to
way.
believe that Kemp would do that, but
No.
That
He's
was
so quiet and
that was
reserved.
classic.
Must have
yeah,
fired him up.
exactly.
That was
But,
classic.
We've talked about Lamar's, in the numerous games we've talked about, they had some. That was some of their best teams at that point. You know, I think they had the White kid playing quarterback, running back Ryan White, extremely fast and very physical. And Mr. ESPN was a big dude. He was good.
He was
good.
good. Yeah, he was all right.
Yeah. But yeah.
They I think they moved the ball pretty well on us that night. I mean, not well, but better than the other teams had. And it was 7-0 going into halftime, and so it was a really tight ball game. And you know, we were playing good D. We were moving the ball some. We just couldn't get things to get going a little bit. And you know, we ended up. You know, we actually they had more first downs than us.
Yeah,
they had
it was
pretty close to Lamar's.
What's that?
Going into halftime, we weren't up at halftime. So Lamar's.
Oh, you're right. Lamar's
they
up.
were.
Lamar's is up.
Were.
That's right.
Yeah, they were. Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, second half we came out and we put up 14 in the third quarter, and it was enough to get it done. So
Yeah, that was the kind of game, and we were in the midst of a great rivalry with Lamar's in those years, but there was no. I tell you what, guys, when you start talking West Lyon the week before, boy, I don't think Rock Valley was that great then, but these two games were as big time as they got.
Throw
for
Spencer
small
in the
high
middle
schools.
of them, and then it's
those two, and then Spencer in there.
Yeah, it was tough games every week, and Lamar's was definitely at the top of the list.
Oh yeah.
I think this was the same score in the '97 season.
It was only to their advantage. Yeah. We knew. Well, we just knew it. We lined up against them guys. You knew it was going to be tough.
Yeah.
Yep.
Good. Yeah.
But yeah, again,
Some good battles with those guys. And I
Get
think,
that right.
not to speak for Brad and Nick, but we were not too happy about the way the 97 one
No.
went. And
Right.
No.
Yeah, they blanked us 21-0 in the
Yep.
playoffs, right?
Yeah,
First round.
put it on us pretty good in
Yeah, they did.
97. That one hurt.
Yeah, that was
especially
fun.
when we beat them in the regular season.
Yeah, we
too.
beat them 14-7 in the
Yeah.
regular season, just like this.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
That's right.
And then they
That's
turn
right.
around. And
Yeah, we were
That's
setting up.
right.
We thought we were going to have a nice playoff run that year, and they kind of derailed us. And yeah, I'm
That's
sure it was in the
right.
back of your minds. I'm sure you
Well,
guys are ready to
I-
roll.
all year.
Yeah.
I think that was in the back of all of them. We'll get to the playoff game, but I think the way we came out in the playoff game was a result of
You got that right.
what happened the year before. So.
Yep.
Yeah, that's right.
keep moving on here. We'll head to week 5. 37-0 against Storm Lake.
Just
Yeah, that was
complete domination.
If I remember right, that was pretty much do whatever you want that night. And I don't know if did Boeve did you have a punt return in that game, or was that when you were younger? It might have been your freshman or sophomore, junior year. But I remember we pretty much did what we wanted to that night against them. I'm not sure what our rushing stats were.
Well, I don't know.
I
Boeve
think-
had 7 carries for 150 yards.
Yeah,
I don't know.
so I'm
you know.
thinking, yeah,
I don't know what you take from that.
Like
but-
Kurt said.
yeah.
Now, I remember, I think it was
Guessing
that
Jeff
game
got
where
some playing time that night. Where's he at? I don't know.
Well, he snuck off.
Yeah, that's the game I dislocated my kneecap in.
Did you really?
Yeah,
that's right.
I got sideswiped from the linebacker. I didn't have the ball. I think it was just an option play, and just kind of off the side, and linebacker came up and hit me on the side of the knee, and I just buckled. I went down, I grabbed my knee. My kneecap was on the side of my leg. I straightened it out, and I popped it back in place, and
Kept playing.
no,
Yeah.
I kept playing.
No.
By that time, we were ahead, so you took me out.
It was a good thing you got it. You were able to get it back in right away because the longer that stays out, the worse it gets.
Yeah.
So
I remember
remember
that. There were some tense moments on the sidelines watching you, making sure you get up and get going. And
yeah, it was ugly.
yeah.
But
Yeah, that was a kicking. It was I don't know how many. That was probably our third time we played Storm Lake.
Yeah, there was 1 year in there. They were tough.
1 year it was,
Really
but that
tough.
obviously wasn't the year. I think it was
No.
probably '96.
Yeah.
Maybe it was a good year.
I think
The
it was
year they were pretty
96.
good.
Yeah, they were decent.
That they were pretty decent. But yeah, we it was one of those games where you just knew going in, things start out well for us. It's going to be a fun night, and that's what it ended up being. You know, and when you got a good group of dudes, you know that you're going to have a few of those nights, and it was enjoyable.
and it's always fun doing it on their turf too.
Yeah, you got that right.
Going to week 6, 27-12 against Esterville Lincoln Central. Again, I
don't remember that game at all. I don't
I
remember
don't
even
know.
playing
I remember.
Esterville.
They were tough.
I remember it. Where was it at, Terry? You remember? It was at Esterville. Remember what happened at halftime?
Oh, is that the band?
Terry's going to want to take credit for this, but he only gets a little bit of it. I get most of it. We're standing there watching, and he kind of came up and joined me. And we're just watching. We were in the midst of a tough game. We really were. They were always tough, but they had the clock counting down for halftime, and they had big band show out there. The whole deal was going on, and all of a sudden, wrong year. Well, what year was it?
Yeah, we were at home. We were at home this game.
What it was at?
Yeah, this one was at home.
At home, okay.
Yeah.
Well, the year we founded, they got penalized for the band being on the field too long for halftime.
I actually
but
think,
not necessarily this year, though, I guess.
I think the Storm Lake game was we were walking out of the locker room at halftime, and they were.
This was at home, yeah.
Yeah, the Storm Lake game. They'll go back to that game. We were walking behind their home bleachers in the locker room, and I think they were throwing pop bottles and Gatorade bottles at us, and we didn't have our helmets on. And then somebody turned around and started yelling and put our helmets on. Yeah. And
wow, I don't remember that.
Yeah, I remember getting pelted with stuff as we were walking onto the field.
They all lined up in the top of bleachers and started throwing it at us.
Really?
Yeah.
Holy smokes. Guess they didn't like a winner, huh?
No.
They didn't like us little town boys coming and kicking their butts. Love it.
Yeah, the Esterville game, I don't remember much besides what I'm reading here. I guess I blocked a punt. Don't remember it. But then Boeve must have scored right after that. We get the ball on the 13-yard line. It's a game, like I said, I don't remember much about it. It's not a game we have on tape either, so.
That's probably why I don't remember.
Probably why.
The thing I remember about this is we got up early on them, but they came back. I think they scored 2 touchdowns to bring it within 1 possession. And they pretty well shut us down, I think, in the second half. And then we started getting rolling a little bit, and I think you called 1 counter, sprung for about 10, 15 yards, called it again, sprung again. And I remember looking at you and signaling, all right, let's go. Let's keep doing it. Called it again and popped it right for a touchdown. So, yeah, I remember that one pretty clearly.
Yeah, it was just a matter of pick your poison, like Dewey said before. Pick your poison on that offense. So yeah, something gets clogged down. If they were, obviously their goal was to shut Boeve down. Mm-hmm. Nick and Jake kicked butt on that, and Curtis, and yeah, it was a big game for us. Like I said, I just don't really remember that game for some reason at all. I don't know. It just must not have been a real landmark game at that point.
Adam had 3 touchdowns.
Not a lot. I don't remember it much either. But yeah, when you get into those spots when you can hand the ball up the middle and get chunks, and you can go a lot of different ways. Give it to Jay, give it to Kurt. I mean, how do you really decide what you want to do?
It's crazy. We talk about this, and we'll talk about it at the end there too. But when you get Boeve didn't get 1,000 yards that year. I know you and I were talking about that today. But I look back. He averaged 7.3 yards per carry. Nick averaged 5-point-something yards a carry. Jake averaged 6-point-some yards a carry, and Curtis averaged 8-point-some yards per carry. Well, you don't. Like you say, pick your poison. All of them, you give them a couple carries, and that equals a first down in my book.
But here we had a rarity in this game: the Bull. A 22-yard run for a touchdown.
What?
22 yards.
That's a long one.
For the Bull, yeah. You had to get tired, didn't you?
I did get tired.
Yeah. My gosh. I love it, man.
I do too.
You deserve some of them once in a while. You don't always have to get the hard yards.
Coach Lorenzen put like a play in that I was a single back. Oh. We practice this during practice all the time. Do you think we played it during the game?
Never.
No.
He was known for that.
Just to keep you happy.
I know. It's like, I just want to get outside. I want to do something. Nope.
Just didn't have
Was
the
it a
balls,
toss
did he?
sweep
Just
to you?
didn't do it.
Was
it a toss sweep out of that, or
yeah,
what was
it was supposed to be a
that's
toss sweep, and I was like,
Let
I
the
never
Bull
got
run,
put
man.
in.
Hey, I just put it in to practice it because then we use it the next year for the other fullback.
Yeah, I remember
You were too effective inside, Nick. I had no reason to get you outside at all.
Right, especially Jake. And, yeah.
Nick, did you take dance as a little kid?
No.
Okay. No. Just wondering.
The Bull. Why do you think we called him
when
the
Nick
Bull?
ran the ball, he spun more than anybody
Yeah.
I've ever watched on tape.
Yeah.
It was like hit, spin, hit, spin, hit, spin, hit, spin. And about 80% of the time, it was a third spin that I got taken down on. But it was unbelievable, your spin. Your one hand on the ground, spin and keep going.
It's so awesome. Anybody that's ever played football in this room here, that's what we tell. The old spin and put your hand down when you were learning how to play running back. one of the few guys that always did it. You're right, Coach. He was the one that and I remember numerous games where he did it, and it was huge.
Oh, happened
We'll
a
just
lot.
stay on this topic, but we obviously ran 22s and 28s pretty effectively. And but I never all the years that we ran 22s and 28, we always like kicked the D end out, down, stair step to the sideline, right? That was like our go-to. Jake is the only guy that ran a 22-28, and he cut back all the time, and he made hay on it. I don't think he ever hardly went to the sideline. It was like kick out, and across. Like the backside would be coming, would wipe out the play side, and he just funnel right back to the middle. It was like something that when you draw it up, you're like, oh, that doesn't work. But Jake made hay on it. Coach Cruz and I were watching that just tape-wise, and it's like it's incredible how many yards our 22s and 28s would end back to the middle of the field.
It's almost like Jake had a zone blocking mind going with him before anybody even did zone blocking.
It was.
There you go.
Ahead of his time.
That's what it's about.
It was. But it was like play side blocked down, backside washed out. It was just constant the whole time. But it was, it was pretty impressive.
And once again, you look at the stats. Boeve, 11 for 110. Jake, 19 for 86. Nick, 15 for 70. It was just, God darn, it was good football.
Were you guys tired after those games? Were you
I
tired?
was tired.
I was definitely tired.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, because it was physical. I mean, you're getting smacked every play, and you're running the ball every play, basically. I mean, we're not standing back there pass blocking. We're running the ball down the field.
Yeah. So a lot of time
I know, obviously, you guys are tired, but I'm just wondering if these dudes are.
Because if I don't have the ball, a lot of times they think that I do have the ball.
Right.
I'm still getting tackled. I'm still getting hit.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
that's
it
a big
was.
deal.
Yeah, because there's a lot of 17 and 13 options, and I love seeing those plays though.
There
There was no plays off. And you get the right, like you hand it to Nick, you get the team that decides they want to have tough DNs and fight the quarterback like you get the ball.
That's right.
You're in a battle down the line without the ball.
Oh, yeah.
Every single play.
Yeah.
Bob, what was your favorite play? What was your favorite play to block?
I know it. Better say it.
Are you going to say the trap?
Yeah.
The one where you knocked me out almost afterwards?
Is the Pope Catholic?
Yeah. Absolutely, yeah. I did love it. Yeah, I like a good trap.
Yeah.
It wasn't a play you'd run very often.
No,
but
it
was
wasn't.
an effective play. It really was.
That 36 trap was deadly.
That's
we made
nasty.
hay on it.
Yeah, that's a nasty one.
Was that the one that you, the Rock Valley Boyden Hall game? Did you score on that,
Yep.
right? That was your first.
Yep.
Then you came back to the sidelines and headbutted me with your helmet on.
Yeah. And
Almost knocked me out.
Yeah,
Dropped your head on the sidelines.
yeah, but you didn't have your helmet on, so.
I know I did.
I look at Brad, I go, oh, yeah, sorry. The blood's just running down his face. I was like, yeah, I should have done that. Oops.
Split my nose all the way open.
Yeah, sure did. I was hoping you would bring that up. But
We're intelligent.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yep. But that was a make hay play. Going into Game 7 is Cherokee.
Oh, I remember that game.
Let's hear it now. I hear this 30 times in Dewey, so just say it now.
What?
What'd you tell Coach Lorenzen in that game? If you want to win,
if you want to win the game, run Jake. He's going to get 300 yards.
I've heard that
And what
30
did he
times
end
in
up
my
with?
life.
What did he end up with?
252.
That was back in the day, Dewey, where I think it began that year where I'd be on the headset. You weren't on the headset back then, though.
Nope.
And you'd stand next to me and you walk over, run it again. And walk down the play, run it again, run it again, run it again.
But that night, though,
So we did, didn't we, Jake? Every play we ran that
But
thing.
he didn't. After I said that, I think he just had to show who was boss. Because it took him about 4 more plays before he ran you again. And I was so pissed off, I just walked away. I did a Schmitty and just walked away. That was enough. But we made our point, though, Hunto.
Yeah, we had some phenomenal games against Cherokee, and that was definitely one of them. And that's one of those games where I do remember him spinning, too, on the field.
Yeah.
On one of those plays. Remember that, Nick, where you had a spin and you buzzed it around there? But, yeah, it was that the year that there was plenty of jocks laying off the field after Boeve made a couple of cuts on?
I think
am I thinking of the right one, Kurt? Where Boeve did a cut down the field and boom, gone, and early on, and Jake took over from there.
Yeah, it was MOC. It was actually MOC game.
Oh, okay, got it.
We'll get to that one next. But yeah, that's.
Oh, man.
This Cherokee game, I just remember handing it off and just watching huge gashes.
Yeah.
Guys just taking off.
Yeah, it was.
Jake and Nick. And
We only had 553 yards rushing that night.
Yeah.
No big deal.
Yeah.
Well, you ran poor Jake 27 times.
Yeah,
that game.
poor
Yeah.
Jake.
Jake's gone.
Jake gets about 10 yards a carry on 27
You
carries.
ran at 21. What are you talking about?
We had 200-yard rushers that night. It was awesome.
Mailman's toting the mail.
I think that's the game a lot of us O-linemen kind of hung our hats on. But that record is pretty important to us O-linemen. But I do remember that game, how frustrated we all were in that second half, because all they did is they just submarined us.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, they did.
All
Remember
second
that.
half.
Yep.
That's all they did. And all Jake had to do, not all that he had to do, he still did pretty well, but he just kind of picked and chose his spots. You know what, guys were laying on the ground and just gashed right through them.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we got taken out like after the first series in the third or fourth quarter too.
Yeah.
Like, oh, Jake, we can get you like 250 at least.
Yeah, and I was just checking with Kurt too. I'm pretty sure that was the game where we turned and handed off to Trent.
Yeah.
Herta, he
28.
85 yards.
85 yards up the field. Yeah,
One,
just gone.
one carry, 85
Yeah.
yards.
Yeah.
I just read it and I remember it.
Yep. Yeah.
That was his only carry.
Man.
That was his only carry of the whole year.
Really?
Trent's. Yeah.
That's pretty
Is
good
that
average.
right?
Yeah. So it's pretty good average.
Yeah. 85 yards to carry.
Trent flew.
He did. He had wheels
There
though.
was nobody
Oh,
catching
man.
that.
Man,
That's
those
awesome. Like I
good
said,
kids.
yeah, we just seemed like we always got after Cherokee, and it was just a fun game. I remember that night.
Yeah, and you know, through this, I like to bring up the offensive stats. Cherokee, 119 yards rushing, and that's probably mostly in the fourth quarter when we got our JV kids in
Oh,
and
yeah.
that type of thing.
Yep.
You know, it still came down to the defense. It really did.
Yes.
It always did.
You know, but like Trent's 1 for 85. Like that's But Jake's longest touchdown run was 24 yards. So just the 20 yards a pop type mentality.
Yeah.
It was that's huge.
I remember coming off the field and watching Jake, and he was just tired. Hang in there, dude. We got this. We got this.
You know what, Jake?
It
Being
was
you ran the
steamrolling.
ball 27 times, I think Coach Lorenzen did listen to me a little
Oh,
bit.
yeah.
Didn't he? I think so. Thanks, Coach. But he was tired. I remember that. And you, by the way, you had 110 yards too.
I was tired too.
Yeah. Yeah.
Going into week 8, 48-0 in Spirit Lake. All I know is Spirit Lake had a fat quarterback.
Graf.
I don't know who the guy. He was
Graf.
like.
Was his name Graf?
Oh,
Yeah.
that's right.
He was.
One of the Graf boys. Yeah. They moved him from running back to quarterback for our
Jason
game.
Graf,
I think.
yeah.
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 Wow.
Yeah. He was not very mobile.
Yes. Look at the. Yeah.
Yep. Dewey just do it.
The stats are wild. Good gosh. 24 first downs. What? 367 yards.
Who was the
Total
big
offense.
ground gainer that night? Was it pretty
Well,
evened up again?
Nick 21 for 122, Boeve 1082, Jake 859. Then we had a lot of backups.
Yep.
Wow, that's again. This is 3A football.
Yeah.
This is what we were supposed to be afraid of.
Yeah. It is pretty handy when you got a fullback that runs as fast as most tailbacks do, and and our quarterback had some speed too, so we could just hand it off every once in a while, and once in a while that quarterback would keep it around the outside. We were talking, Kurt was talking about how we never even had the all backs lead, which we put in with Mitch and those guys that in the 06 area and that area. Just imagine if you would have done the all backs lead with you carrying the ball. You might have got a few more yards.
Yeah.
Maybe.
That would have been wild, Boove. Holy smokes.
Yeah.
Oh man. But we're talking the day now where things were as simple as you gain your yards up the gut, they stop it, you get around the corner, they stop it, you go over the top. Well, you can tell by our throwing stats, we didn't have to go over top very often, and we had Boeve to get around the edge, and a little bit with Curtis and Jake, but we had it up the gut and we had it over around the edge, and that's what it was all about. They picked their poison.
Yeah.
Yeah. Keep moving along here. We'll move to week 9, 50-6 MOC game.
And they had some good athletes.
They had some good athletes, but
DeHaan played on that, correct, on that team, and they had some good offensive
yeah.
linemen. Was Tim DeBrink on that team? Maybe? Yeah, he played at Iowa State. They had some studs.
But boy, that's a game that Boeve just complete. Boeve did the old high step that he used to do, and it was like,
remember that one?
Guys are picking up stats. Just might have a couple more tonight. Yeah, we might have Boeve do it one more time for us tonight. Right in the middle of the brewery here, yeah. So a couple high steps.
A couple high steps on the sideline.
You sneak through their tackles, and you get those legs up high and go.
It's like, which way are you gonna catch? You ain't gonna catch me.
But yeah, MOC was kind of the, they thought they could play. For a lot of years they played with us really well, and there was no doubt that night. I mean, it was for them having good kids. We got after them so quick and so physical, and got after them.
That's but Nick did dominate that night though. They couldn't stop Nick. He had 214 yards. What did you have? 20 some carries. 15 carries for 214 yards.
And that's my former school. I went to school there till I was till 7th grade.
Really?
So I played with, and now I played against all those guys. And
that had to be special.
Anytime you beat MLC, to me,
It's still that way.
Sioux County teams.
On those kind of nights where the fullback dominates, Dewey for years would always say, that is the most demoralizing for a team that knows that you're just gonna slam that fullback in them, and you're still hammering them. That's just so demoralizing to a team.
It's the best way to beat a team.
Yeah.
Yeah, and 2,000 yards against your former school.
Yeah.
214 on the game.
Yeah, like I say.
That works on Boeve.
Yeah, that'll work. That'll do.
I forgot
that on the field.
Yeah, I forgot you were at MLC.
Yeah, I was at MLC.
He moved here his freshman year.
Yeah.
I didn't even realize that. I thought it was earlier than that.
Yeah.
But yeah.
See,
Thanks, buddy.
Yeah. Yeah, no, thank my parents.
Yeah,
because it's my 7th grade year, I was living in Orange City. Then we moved to Wisconsin for a year. Then we moved to George.
Oh, wow.
And we only had flag football in Wisconsin. So that was my freshman year. It was my very first year of tackle football, honestly, because I broke my foot in my 7th grade year. So I came in spring practice. They're like, well, what position you want to play? I was like, well, they had me at line or on the line, like nose tackle and center. I was like, all right. So I was doing the whole spring practice, and I forget what coach it was, came up and said, we're going to take you off the line, and we're going to put you at fullback instead.
Well done, whoever said so.
Whoever said that.
You had to go home after meeting these guys for the first time thinking, oh, my God, I just won the football lottery. I got to play with these guys all the way through.
Hey, I loved it.
Nope. Did you guys lose any games your freshman, sophomore year?
No.
I don't think so.
I think we did get beat by Westline my freshman year. Pretty sure we did. Pretty sure Darren basically took over the game and beat us.
You're probably right, yeah.
Uh-huh. Because if I remember right, we went 2-2 against them in high school.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm. So we lost to them freshman year and junior year, and beat them sophomore and senior
We just
year.
remember the last one.
Yep, that's all that matters.
That's right. That's right.
I like that thought.
The most important ones.
So yeah, like Boeve said, Nick ran for 214 and won over 2,000 yards in his career during that game by doing that. So only a couple guys that was in front of him in the CLGLR history. So put him in a pretty good elite group by doing that. Well, let's move. That moves us into the first round of the playoffs against, again, Lamar's. We knew going in that it was going to be a battle. I just felt that game, everything just kind of came together. We were a different team almost at that point in the season compared to week 4 when we played them the first time, momentum-wise and everything else. In fact, so that game, Jake had a 55-yard touchdown run, and I get called back on a legal shift. We don't know where the flag's at.
A legal shift that nobody saw ever, no matter how many times he ran back to play.
Yeah. So it gets called back. We get a first down. We get to the 45-yard line. Jake runs it again for another touchdown. So he runs for 2 touchdowns in that drive. And the next one they called for holding. I ran it back. it's a jumble mess. There's no way he saw holding, but whatever. They got called holding. They bring it back again, and I think we do score in that possession, but it was a lot of work to get in the end zone, thanks to the officials. But again, that was just the start of that game and the domination up front that took care.
What's your guys' takes on that game?
That it wasn't going to end the same way that it ended the year before. There's no chance that was going to happen. We were not going to get beat by Lamar's for the second year in a row in the playoffs, and I think the way that we came out and played in this game, watching that tape, like we weren't messing around in that game at all.
No, we were mad.
I mean, they're a good team. I mean, we've already talked about that. They were big up front, physical, nasty, kind of dirty, but we beat the bejesus out of them up front.
Yeah.
We really
sure
did.
did.
Kemp against Borchers that night, I mean, he handled him. He really did.
Yep.
I think they tried to cheap shot you early in that game. Actually, their game plan was to come and hit you as much as possible. I'm talking about hit the quarterback as much as possible, and then but they did it but it was the wrong game plan because we were just running underneath them, and you just stood up and popped back up and walked back to the huddle, and I think they're like, oh, this ain't gonna bother them, and it's killing us, and so I think that meant their whole game philosophy was out the door.
Yeah.
After
Yeah.
that.
Yep.
Yeah.
And so
You're right.
That's the poison they picked, huh?
They might think that's going to affect their quarterbacks. Their quarterback was 170 pounds, something like that. Our quarterback was the real deal. It was big dude, and you were able to take some shots and get up and laugh at him and get after him the next play. But they definitely threw all their chips into one game and did everything they could to possibly. They knew that that was their only chance, is to just take every chance they could possibly take, do things they normally didn't do, and we had an answer to everything they did.
Yeah, that's what I remember too. And like Brad said, that's kind of how we all felt, like this wasn't going to happen tonight. And we kind of came out with a chip on our shoulder, and when just had that mentality, like it didn't matter what they were going to do, we were going to dominate and stick it to them. But I remember that too. Just DNs playing that they haven't in a way that they hadn't played before.
Yep.
Just trying to be cheap and which was fine. Which was fine.
Yeah.
It opened up all kinds of doors for us. So.
Yep. Hey, is that the game where we got to talk about Boeve's car?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I was lucky to make it that night.
Give us a little recap on that.
Yeah,
Some of the
if I
people here might not remember that.
This is true. I just thought of this driving in because I had to speed to get here tonight, so thank you for waiting, which was kind of typical getting to a football game on a Friday night too once in a while. But, coming over the Dune corner, back then we were driving $500,000 cars, whatever gets you to Dune, from Dune to Rock Rapids, but mine didn't make it that night. I got about 4 miles out of Dune.
The old blue car?
Yeah, I think it was old blue.
All right.
Yeah. So sitting on the side of Highway 75, hazards on, and standing outside my car. Car pulls over, and it was DeHaan and one of his buddies. Two guys from MOC.
buddies.
Right.
The MLC guys he just kicked a couple weeks ago.
Yeah. So nice of those guys to pull over for me and get me to Rock Rapids for the game. So they drove me into town.
Wow.
So. Shout out to those guys.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That's
cool.
even, and our sports writer even put that in the paper.
Yeah,
There's a
it was
little
in the
article
article.
about
Is that
that. That's
right?
pretty cool, yeah.
Yeah. So
Said you were jogging down the highway and he picked you up.
jogging down the highway, I wonder where I was jogging to.
It sounded like you were going back to Dune.
I'll bet you I was trying to jog my way to Kudum's house or something.
Yeah,
to
probably,
see if I could get a ride from somebody I knew in the area. But they picked me up and got me to the football game. So
No cell phone.
And I don't think
we didn't have cell phones then.
And you probably wouldn't have made it otherwise if they wouldn't on time. Maybe.
I wasn't going to be on time.
Yeah.
I was going to have to beg you to
Yeah.
let me play. Showing up late. But
What does Boeve do? He runs for 100 yards, picks off his 6th pass of the season. Just another night. But he almost didn't make it.
That's hilarious.
luckily they were coming to watch
Some
the
of your
game.
old buddies came through for us.
Right. Yes, Jesse. Yep.
That's
It was
cool.
Jesse. Jesse.
That's
Yeah,
pretty
brother
cool.
Cody.
That's funny.
Pretty neat. But that was a big win over a
that
team
right.
that we really, really wanted to beat. Big rival game. Yep.
That Ryan White, their tailback, entered the game with 950 yards of rushing on 118 carries. We held him to 43 yards that night.
And he was small. He was small, but he was really fast and really quick.
Didn't quite get to 100.
No.
I feel bad for him.
Yeah, it's too bad.
That's too bad. But again, it's fun game to be part of. Moving into game 11. That was Clear Lake. Ended up beating them 43-14. Again, that was at home. We talked about that earlier, but they were not a bad team. They had some
They were a big time, highly touted team.
Yeah, they were as good as they come, but we just had their number.
They were kind of Clear Lake had never been very good, and that was kind of the beginning, and they've been really good for a long time, and they haven't been late the last couple of years, but they had a huge run, but that was the beginning of that run that year. Sorry,
Yeah.
Kurt,
Yeah,
go ahead.
no, that's exactly it.
Oh, yeah, that was a big time.
That night played right in. I mean, well, they played some pretty smash mouth football too, but it was muddy. It rained the entire game. By the second quarter, it was you couldn't hardly see the. It was pure mud.
Yeah.
Their gold pants were not gold.
What's crazy
We
was
only had one guy on our team that had white pants all night. That was Coach Jeff Cruz. He had white gloves too. He had white gloves.
all right.
Oh, man.
I just remember that it was a sloppy mess, but our skill guys, I mean, obviously our offensive lineman did a great job on it, and our skill guys. I think you caught a screen in the middle of that game and had a huge play on it, and then you had a couple down around the outside there, Boeve, that Nick had a great screen. But, yeah, it was a horrible mess that night. And if you had to open up a vault of instant classics or greatest classic football games ever for Central Iowa and Georgia Little Rock, that one would be one of the first ones you'd pick out of that. I guarantee it.
That's high on the list for sure.
Yes.
Yeah. We just rose to the occasion.
Yeah, it was very hype game. A lot of media there, a lot of people there. The crowd was electric, and Clear Lake brought a ton of people over, and brought a ton of buses over, and everything clicked that night. It was so much fun. It was such a good game. Remember that?
Oh yeah. I remember that just about that game in particular, but all the games, just the crowds that would come out and watch. It was just unreal.
It's crazy.
I haven't been able to. I'm sure it's probably the same way now, but yeah, the stands filled down the sidelines, huge game. They brought their fans, and yeah, it was a ton of fun that night.
Yeah, when you talk CLGLR, Central Iowa CLGLR playoff atmosphere, that's what it's all about. That type of game.
That's on Friday Night Lights or whatever night it was, man. I see in the tackle stats, the Stubby boys led the way with 7 tackles each in that kind of a game.
If I remember,
I think didn't they score in their first touchdown or one?
No, their first drive they went for it on like the 20-yard line coming out, and we stuffed them.
They went for it on the 34-yard line.
They dropped the snap.
Yeah,
they fumbled the snap.
But how stupid!
But
man.
Isn't there something in there, Dewey, about me that said you'd take me behind the bench and beat me up if I did that?
You quoted them on something like that.
They actually scored in their first touchdown. I believe they scored in the old Statue of Liberty. The guy stood there, acted like he was doing something. The quarterback dropped back and took the ball.
Oh yeah, they'd wrap it around us. Remember that? Wrap it around.
And we kind of bailed. Wide open. It was just up the middle, and we didn't. But
yeah,
it was After that, it was like we didn't leave the box. Schmitty was on us after that. So.
Yeah. But that was classic. That was big. That was fun stuff.
Was there a pick in that game? Did we have a pick in the first half? I thought we had.
Yeah. Nope, I only threw it once. No picks. Must have been that screen you were talking about to Nick earlier. One of the 13 passes.
That's funny.
So you talked earlier about how Jake was so good about finding that cutback lane and cutting back. Did you watch this one?
I watched it,
where Jake's like in the middle of a pile of all of us.
Yes.
And all of a sudden he breaks out to the right, and there is nobody within probably 20, 30 yards of him.
So actually, that was, I don't know what we called it. It wasn't the Maryland. It wasn't a Maryland eye. It was the old straight across eye.
Okay.
Or I don't know whatever we had, and Nick could be in the in the middle, and then I'd be on one side, Jake would be on the other side, and we just ran like a dive. So we wrote a second man dive or just a dive with Jake, and Jake was in the piles, pushing the piles, moving, and Jake just kind of cuts it out and just down the sideline.
Nobody had a clue.
Nobody had a clue.
Nobody had a clue who had the ball.
And they were
There's two guys running the other side to the other side of the field.
They're chasing you and I, and Boove's around the corner, and they're chasing us, and Jake is just sneaking out.
That was Jake's R.J. Meyer imitation, right?
I love it.
Yeah, that game. I just, like I said, one of those games where you just remember everything. Remember, you feel like you just remember that night from the time we ran out on the field to warm up to how bad the weather was to, how I just remember how confident you guys were and how confident when you're in the huddle and you look at you guys' eyes, you just knew that you were ready. You were ready for that moment. You were ready to play at that level, and that things were going to go our way.
That game actually, Stan Metzger corner. Stan was an incredible corner.
Oh yeah.
I always laugh because Troy, between Troy and Stan, I can't imagine the competitions they have at home. So, but I tell you what, those guys playing corners, but Stan that game too, the force they ran option and the amount of the ability to come up and make plays in the open field. And Trent was on the other side, an extremely good corner. But again, that in my mind just slowed those guys down. I'm pretty sure Boeve and Eric Olson maybe they were high in tackles, or they're all over that too, because those guys kind of ran that old dive,
that's right.
that dive with the motion back over top, and they'd run option with it, and it was just played over and over so well with our DNs and to our safeties and secondary. So it's a huge thing for our defense at the time, just understanding their discipline of what's going on and
typical Schmitty. He had everybody exactly where they needed to be that game. You knew where you're going to be. You knew what was going to happen. You knew when they came out of the huddle, you knew what play they were running. And
their quarterback's running option, and it's like second quarter, and he's running option. He can't pitch it with one hand, so he's got two hands. He's like two hands shoveling that ball on an option. Well, you ain't going to be very good when that happens.
No.
These guys are flying to the ball.
So
it was pretty incredible, but
because they ran the ball 50 times for 182 yards.
Yeah, 50 times.
Right.
Yeah, and like I said, we're built for that type of game.
Yeah, we are.
Yeah.
That weather,
Exactly.
we're built for that.
Exactly. And those were the days back where we'd play. We were playing like a Wednesday night or something. I mean, it's just so much fun because I know it's great that they can spread those games out, but I'm still a lover of that, having that tight. You have a game Friday and then you have a game on Wednesday or something. Or
especially
so
when
much
we
fun.
only got
We
two-way
win. You get to go back. You get to go to school the next day. Everybody's all pumped up, and you're talking about this and that, and it's just
Don't have to wait a whole week.
Right,
You're like,
right.
We're going to be at it again in 5 days.
Yeah,
so let's
exactly.
go.
Everybody's pumped about the game. That's the whole next day. All it is football. There's nothing. There's nothing
for
going on
sure.
at school except for talking football and this and that. It's just awesome.
It's a fun time.
Yeah.
It sure was.
Again, that offensive line, like you said, Derek Venegay and Dustin and Brad, and even Brad Tilley. Tilly was a fighter.
He was
he was just gonna even if you put him on the edge, you split him out. He was gonna go find somebody to hit. He didn't care.
Yeah, he was pissed off.
He was. He lived that way.
He wanted to get after it.
He did. He did. He was.
You
he
go
was
up and
mean.
down this roster, and you just got tough guy after tough guy.
Pound for pound, tough guys.
You talk about it. You get guys like Brad Tilley and Eric Olson. Nobody talks much about either one of those guys tonight. They are true. They are the typical CLGLR football players.
That's right.
Very disciplined, very tough, raw bone kids that just went out there and wanted to do whatever they could to make the team better.
Absolutely.
And we've had we made a killing of that for years.
A very, very special bunch.
You're going to have the studs, but you got to fill it up with the guys that are the meat and potatoes behind the studs.
Like a kid like Wyatt Stubbe. How big was Wyatt his junior year? 180 pounds? 185 maybe?
Maybe.
And he played defensive tackle as good as anybody in the state of Iowa. Pound for pound, we just had a bunch of those kids like Krogman, Stan Metzger, them guys. God dang, they weren't very big, but dang.
Bad News Bears.
That's right.
I'd love to have heard some of those. I'd love to have heard those Stubbe conversations at the line of scrimmage there.
You take him. I got him. We kill him. We kill him.
Well, they got her done, I'll tell you what.
They did. They were as tough
They
as
got
they
that
come,
right.
I tell you.
I forget what game it was our senior this year where we got a turnover on defense. Offense comes out on the field, and Stubbe's still sitting at the ball. He's still kneeling right there on the line of scrimmage, ready to go kill somebody. Nobody in front of him. He's just ready to go.
He wanted
Ready to
more.
go hit somebody.
He wanted more, man.
I laughed about it a week or two ago. I said I got so pissed at him. One of our playoff games, we're practicing in the gym, and we're starting practice, and there's no Stubby, and he comes running in. He's got his hunting gear on, and his boots on, and everything. Gets in at D tackle with his boots and his hunting gear on.
Yeah.
Remember?
Yeah, I do. Because he was pheasant hunting or something.
Yeah.
Wasn't feathers on your boots, dude?
Yeah, he
Field
was
to practice.
he comes strolling in, he's just sweating already. He's like, it's like
But didn't take anything off. He just got right in his stance.
he had his old freaking, oh, absolutely.
I remember it.
Oh man.
Like you said, they were just, our special teams were, they were tough. Really, just because of the depth that we had on that roster.
It
So
was amazing.
that was, again, a good part of, we don't talk a lot about special teams during this time, but our punt return, we're sitting there watching tape today with some of the high school guys or whatever, and it's not legal anymore, but our punt returns.
It's probably why it's not legal anymore.
It is. Boeve gets one against MOC. No, Trent gets against MOC. And going to our sideline, and this guy comes out, the first guy down, and Boeve hits him so hard, decleats him, goes into our sideline on the ground. We turn around, Luke Stubbe decleats the next guy. He's on the ground. Drenth decleats one guy, and I'm the last guy left. And this guy doesn't see me coming. He gets decleated, and Trent he didn't score. He got caught yet by one guy coming down. Oh, Stan had the first. Yeah, Stan had the first one. yeah, Stan. It wasn't even. Had nothing to do with the play. But Stan totally took the guy out. Then Boeve, then Lucas, then Dre. It was just like there had to be 5-6 guys laying on the ground after that. It's like it was awesome.
Do you realize how hard that was when we were at my house and we're running a VCR back to watch that 20 times on Friday nights? Run it back.
Run it again.
I can't imagine how hard it is because we do it now with good technology. And Dewey's over there. I don't see it again. Oh yeah, okay.
Twice was enough for me.
First one he misses because he's snoring. The second one he always catches. So.
Well, it wasn't that way then. I was younger then.
Oh,
That's right.
You were.
Yeah. He was probably running it back then.
No, I never did that. Never.
Yeah.
Oh, God. I love
Remember
it.
all those VHS tape sessions?
Oh,
Was it
yeah.
Monday film?
Yep.
Monday film day?
Yep.
Pop
Monday
the
film
VHS
day.
tape in
Just
for
get
the-
that get that tracking to the right degree
Oh,
so
yeah.
the lines would move.
No doubt.
know,
But those were tremendous helps to us. Like you talked about confidence. Like I felt like we were always so prepared.
Yeah.
No
So
doubt about it.
prepared.
Yeah.
Like you knew based on splits, based on whatever, you knew what play they were going to run.
Yep.
And we talked about Schmitty preparing us in the secondary. We were ready to go on defense, but just overall, like we watched film, we practiced it all week. We knew it was coming.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, there's no doubt.
And we even really talked about practice, how physical. We talked about practices last week, how physical practices were. I mean, there was no pads because there was no throwing away pads because we never used pads. It was always just a lot of live stuff, and when you did use pads, there was very little pads getting used on that too.
Most of your scout team stuff was against starters.
Yeah.
Or I remember many times as the offensive line coach, if we needed to review something, I could take virtually the whole group.
Yeah.
We'd go back, walk through it, put some other kids in on the scout team.
Right.
It was just an incredible luxury to be able to do that.
Yeah, it was.
I mean, that's a big deal in small high school football. That's a big deal. Man.
We did the old back on ends every Tuesday. Mm-hmm. It was running backs versus defensive ends and hit each other as hard as you can until you couldn't see straight and you'd stop. But
And there was never a day back in the day, Boeve, where we said stay off the quarterback, did we? You were fair game every day in practice.
Yeah.
I don't remember any of those days.
I'm not going to lie to you guys. During Boove's 3 years, during those years, I couldn't wait to get to practice every day. And it's basically true my whole career. Don't get me wrong. I just couldn't wait to get to practice. It was such a pleasure with you guys, and this year was right part of it. as good as it gets, you know.
Oh, yeah.
I could not wait to get to practice every day.
Yep.
And it, like I said, it's pretty much that way all the time, always has been. But I could not wait back in those days, man. It was just, there was just never a doubt. It was physical, kick-ass, complete domination football up front.
And so much talent on the field, on both sides. You know, everybody.
It was a joy.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you guys gave it to us every day. And you could go out there and play football every day, knock the heck out of each other. It was,
Yeah, no, I was part of it, but I agree. Like, watching this team was special, though. I mean, being part of it was more special, but, you know, playing with Boeve and Nick and Jake and the Stubby. I mean, Krogman's like I was telling Jake earlier, but I never watched 98 tape. I watched all the 99 my senior year because I have that and everything else. But 98, I never had the tape.
This is a team that gets forgotten in the greats.
And so
really
then you start you pop the tape in, and all of a sudden you start watching 2 or 3 clips, and you're like, whoa,
yeah,
geez, they were good. It was incredible how talented we were. Unbelievable. Like, from returners to special teams to. It was incredible how talented up and down the line. That's why it's so fun. And Mitch Lupkes and I have argued back and forth and about who would be what in the rankings of the great teams. And after watching it, it's really hard to not say that 98 is one of your top, if not your top teams.
Yep.
In CLGLR history, and that's a lot, and that's a big statement.
It is. No disrespect to any team, but yeah, definitely.
You know, that's what's so special about it. Yeah. And the last game, we're not going to spend time.
Unfortunately, we got to talk about that one a little bit.
But, you know, the last 4 teams in the semifinals that year: Decorah, Harlan,
Grinnell,
undefeated Grinnell. And there's little old CLGLR knocking heads with the big boys.
Yep.
I mean, we'll talk about that game. The freaking game was, you go back, we talk about our last game. Damn, we were right there. I still get pissed off when I think about it, but we'll talk about that.
No, we can talk about it now. Well, it's a 21-0. We'll go ahead, Brad.
Well, I was just going to say, I wanted to jump on what Toby was saying about our practices. You know, one of the things that I thought made our team so great is the level that we practiced at. We were so competitive. Even in practice, I can't remember how many times I had to stay away from Luke Stubbe on the walk back to the locker room because we were so angry at each other. Yeah. And I can't remember how many times like Steve Krogman was blowing me up in the hole. So I think that level of competitiveness that we always had on the practice field elevated us when it came to Friday night. But the other thing that I thought our team did a really good job about is we held each other accountable on the field. More than I don't think the coaches really had to step in a whole lot of times. If we were screwing up on the field, we were holding each other accountable. Like, I remember Ryan and I constantly talking, or Dustin and I constantly talking. But a story that I wanted to tell about kind of the way we held each other accountable was actually in the beginning of fall camp when you named the captains. So I got named as one of the captains, and me, 18-year-old Brad, is thinking, okay, if I'm going to be a captain, I got to be a rooting, hollering, yelling all the time. Like, I got to be vocal. This is what I got to do. And so I remember doing conditioning, and we got called back for a sprint. Got called back for another one, and I'm just yelling at people, not realizing that this is what coaches do during conditioning.
Right.
But I'm just yelling at everybody, like, get in line, do it better, do it better. After that practice, and I cleared it with Brady before I tell this story, but in the locker room, Brady Grafing calls me out, like, right in the locker room. Just basically calls me to task. You're being an idiot. This is not how you operate. Like, this isn't the type of person that you are. Like, you're not a yeller. You're not the vocal guy. Like, you're the silent one that just does his job.
Yep.
Like, don't act like somebody that you're not. And I tell you, I mean, he could have punched me in the face and it wouldn't have hit me harder than what those
That's
words
awesome.
hit me. But I think that, I mean, it didn't matter who you were on our team. Like,
that's right.
I mean,
that's right.
You held each other accountable on that team no matter who you were.
And he held a captain accountable.
Yeah.
That's what he did.
It doesn't get any better than that.
Yeah, and I mean, that's a lesson that
That's
I
important
took with me for a long
stuff.
time.
That we talk about this on our current staff all the time about the chemistry and leadership and the camaraderie and all that. But that is crucial to a good football team, especially football. There's so many people.
Yeah, Brad, I'm glad you told that story. You told me that before, but I think it's good for our guys that are listening, our young guys now, because I think that's an important part of leadership and developing that leadership and understanding your role from a leadership standpoint. And, you understood it. And so, and maybe
Well, I didn't understand it.
You didn't understand it.
I didn't understand it.
As you were told,
at the time I wasn't.
Then you understood it. And that's an important part of leadership. And I think that it's good for our guys. I know a lot of our guys listen to this podcast. And so it's a good reminder exactly of why you were picked as a captain and to continue that role. And so I completely agree. So we'll move into that last game, Harlan game. Again, it's hard to watch even to this day. I remember parts of it before I even watched the tape, and I think everything was true. Harlan's offensive line was probably the biggest in the state of Iowa. They were monstrous. And I actually read Coach Blatt's Coach Blatt, is that what one of the things he wrote later on a couple years ago, that he felt like his 98 team was his best team he's ever had at Harlan.
Yep.
And that's a statement, because I think they've won 11 state championships.
Yeah. And that's the truth, because I've been on committees with him, and he said that to me, and he said that to other people when I'm in the.
Well, part of the reason he's saying is because they beat us,
right?
And he knew damn well how tough we were.
You think how big their offensive line was, and their quarterback was 6'11".
Yeah,
he played basketball at Drake, and he was monstrously huge. But that team was huge, if I remember right.
Yep, both sides of the ball, and they shut us down on offense, and like you said, I think you quoted in there, we threw the kitchen sink at them, and we ran a lot of different stuff. We just couldn't get things going.
We had that huge play at the beginning where you busted one, Boeve down the sidelines. Jake had a huge block on the play. We get called back for a holding way back
behind the play, 20
behind
yards,
the line of play,
and it wasn't even a good call. It wasn't even an obvious hold. That's a 69-yard touchdown, and you look through this game, and you look at the first downs, the total yards. Neither team did very well. It was a lot better than the final score. But we take the lead 7-0 in that game. They don't even score their first touchdown till the second quarter. This thing is 14-0 going into the fourth quarter.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think
maybe
you guys felt different about this, but it just felt like, even though they won, it didn't feel like either team was really hitting their stride at all in that game. It's like everybody was searching that whole game. Both teams were. They just happened to come up with a couple opportunities that they maybe took it a little bit more advantage of, too.
Yeah, it seemed like a big standstill the whole game.
It was.
Back and forth, just like a struggle.
Yeah.
Yeah, it just didn't. Nobody took grasp of it. Nobody was really that much outplaying each other. But it was just a matter of nobody could really get their mojo going and everything until the end there.
And make no mistake about it, you cannot underestimate how big a call that was at that point in that football game.
When you're in a game like that,
I've never been so pissed at a ref in my
you're going
life.
from everybody's screaming on the sidelines to all of a sudden there you see that flag on the ground, you're going way back, you're coming
huge.
back.
Absolutely huge.
Yeah.
I'll never forget it. It was pathetic. But
yeah.
It is what it is.
Till the last day, the guy officiated. Every time they officiated, that dude.
Yeah.
He and you had it.
We know who he is.
Heads.
We won't say any names because he's not from that far from here. But
right.
I never talked to him very good ever again.
No, you guys had a very testy relationship from there on out too. Yeah,
it was questionable at best, if I remember right.
It was called against Wade, a backside tackle. Yeah. You were at least 20, 25 yards down the field. He was on the backside.
Yep.
Make the call. That's bad enough. You should never call a play like that. But then when you watch the replay, it wasn't even an obvious hold.
Right.
That's what was so bad about it.
Yeah.
Terrible. I was running on the field. I was so mad. Didn't do any good.
It was a game that nobody really could get any momentum.
No,
they couldn't. Figuring each other out the whole time.
Yeah,
including
the
them.
heavyweight fight that just
including them. Round
I
remember hearing Blatt talking to the press after the game, and all he could do was talk about how tough it was to contain Boeve and our offense, and that just an incredible win for them.
I mean, they had a good running back, but I think they got to the point where they were just kind of bashing that big quarterback just to try to get in the end zone against us there towards the end there.
In fact, they started throwing the ball quite a bit.
Did
actually. They weren't moving the ball at all, running it, so they started throwing the ball. And that quarterback made some plays with his feet at the time, but they were completely out of their comfort zone, just like we were. And it just tells you how close that game really was. And that's what's so frustrating. I told Jeff before we even watched the tape, I remember they ran a screenplay. I picked it off, and I tripped over my own feet. And otherwise, if I don't do that, I'm gone.
Yep.
There's nobody in front of me. But again, it was one of those things. It's like
even on their first possession, you were so close to undercutting a pass.
Yeah,
and taking that back too.
Just one of those things. It's just like those are things that stick with you forever, and that have always stuck with me. I never even watched the tape until we stuck it in. I saw it, and I just got up and I walked out of the room. It drives me. I know the result, but it drives me nuts. I can't handle it. It's like one of those things because you just know that it's like if you have that, things change. You know, it's like.
Oh yeah, for sure.
You know, and then you look at what they did. They beat Grinnell 49-7.
Yeah, this was the state title.
It was a state title game. It was just,
for sure.
Those are things. You know, you walk by the trophy case every day. You're like, God, that trophy would be different if this and this.
We couldn't go, Dewey. We didn't go that next week. There's no way we knew it was going to happen. We could not be there.
There's just a few games in my career that I can say that about, and that was one of them.
Yeah.
So, this was the first time I ever watched this game too, and I hated every second watching it.
Yeah, it's one of them. It's one.
But even still, I mean, up until that punt block that they returned, I still, up until that point, I knew we were going to win. I just believed we were going to find a way. We were going to get in the end zone. We were going to tie this game up and win it. But I think we play them 10 times, and it's probably a 50-50 split.
I believe so. Yep.
But.
Yeah, and so that's what it is, I guess.
Well,
so it is.
We're good, no doubt about it. But
well, that just put a freaking bad taste in my mouth.
Yeah, really.
Jesus.
Yeah, I hope that doesn't end it.
No, it won't.
Take that one off YouTube, Jeff.
Do you remember saving the trophy when we lifted the trophy up after that? Do you remember saving it from falling?
I don't. No.
Oh God.
Remind me.
So we get the trophy, and I'm furious.
Yeah.
So I grab it and I shove it up high in the air, and all of a sudden I feel it slip out of my hand, tipping that way. And thankfully we had the athletic guy on the other side of it. So if it would have fallen,
it was going to crash to the turf.
Yeah. So you caught it. If it's falling my way, that thing's on the ground. I guarantee you. But no, I remember that. Like I remember shoving it. I was like, don't do this.
Don't kid yourself. I know my man Boeve. He could have caught 4 of them at the same time.
Well, I don't know if you guys, you three, and a bunch of others that are here tonight, I don't think you guys do realize what those teams, that team, what you meant to our program all these years. It's just part of the foundation of everything we have today, wouldn't you say?
Yeah.
You know,
it's just all part of it.
I always feel like the biggest testament of a program, of a team, is when you still refer to them as you're coaching 20 years later or whatever. And we were doing that all the way up to when I finished, and you probably still do a little bit more. Yeah. We still refer to things in your team, whether it be offensive line or the running attack or things like that. I think that's a true testament of what kind of team you guys were.
It's true tradition that allows us, what you guys did allows us to always refer back to you guys.
Right.
Always. And that's, to me, what tradition really is all about. It truly is.
It's comparison that will never be compared because it's something else, but we argue about the greatest fullback, the greatest offensive line, the greatest quarterback, and the name drops that you can be part of. That's the cool part about it. We argue to the, Tobe sticks up for his guys, and I'll stick up for Zach Lupmer now, but Tobe will argue to the death for his boys.
Yeah, he asked me every week last year, who's the best quarterback? I said, Boeve.
I know Zach's listening right now and he's furious right now.
What do I always tell you, Zach? I said, Boeve didn't win the state championship trophy. You haven't either yet. So right now you're even. So there you go. But yeah, we had that conversation. When we talked Casey Peters and Brad Lupkes, we did that problem. We talked Roger Meyer and Nick Krull. It is.
And that's what that talks about the tradition, and these kids know it and seeing it and being part of it, and it's incredible. Honestly, that's why Coach Cruz and I started this podcast way from the beginning, because our just coaching staff have this conversation every day of our lives, and so we're like, we got to get this stuff down
with you guys.
Get this down in audio because we got to share these experiences and thoughts and memories and try to get people to relive those times because it's you look at our trophy case, it's incredible trophy case and the amount of tradition we have here, and it's something that's upheld every year, and we won't want it any other way. And
you can't walk by that trophy case without feeling proud every day. You're in the wrong place.
That's for sure.
But it's because of this, guys like you and that made it that way, and we got 3 of the best in CLGLR history at their position. That's pretty cool.
Yeah,
it's pretty special.
It is.
It really is.
Yeah, we got you right here.
Yes.
That's.
We got Mount Rushmore right here.
That's right.
Yeah, everyone.
I don't know. Did
We haven't
Curtis
done-
ever make it?
We haven't done the.
If Curtis would have made it, we'd have the 4.
I don't care. But the thing is that we haven't done quarterbacks yet, Boeve.
Oh, don't worry, Boove.
We haven't done quarterbacks yet.
Boove.
I appreciate Coach sticking up for
Hey,
me.
Boove.
I appreciate
Boove, I
it.
don't give a
Keep doing it.
You
but
got it, man.
I've seen Zach.
Boove,
you have my permission. You can anoint him the best.
Hey, Boove, I don't.
Where's Vogel at?
The talent he's got is pretty remarkable. So it's unbelievable.
It will be a debatable thing for the history, but for us, you got Nate DeYoung that's in there. You got Chris Keel.
Man.
I mean, the names could go on forever, and that's what's so fun about it. And so I love doing these. And
So quickly before we get going to that, I know, Nick, you weren't in the area, but who was some Central Iowa Jersey Rock football player that you guys looked up to? Who were you, when you were growing up, who were you looking up to? You think of anybody or not?
Well, I know in high school, he's sitting across from me right there.
Johnny?
John, yeah,
Johnny Denicus?
absolutely. Absolutely, yeah.
Is he here?
You were lucky enough to play with. You were lucky enough to have him block for you.
Oh,
Yeah.
man.
As an underclassman.
I was lucky enough to have some absolute studs on the
Exactly.
offensive line that made
Yeah.
my job easy. And
That's right.
he was
Anybody
a
you
big
can
part
think
of
of that you kind of set, that you kind of pattern things after? Or?
Man,
Boove.
there's so many of them. You grow up and watch them. But when you're back 5th, 6th grade, you're looking at teams with like Bots, Groders, those guys
Yeah.
are on it.
Yeah.
I mean, they kind of.
I think our generation would also.
Our generation was probably coming every Friday night to watch those teams
Right.
play. But really kind of fueled the fire for us at a young age, and so that was big for us. I remember taking us, a group of us, into your classroom, probably 8th, 9th grade.
Talking
To us about the potential that we had and all that stuff. It was just, you always looked forward to being a part of it, right? Like you were just waiting your time to get there. So, I think, I look up and down. We talk about great teams, we talk about great players, but you talk about a great coaching staff, right? I mean, it's incredible when you talk about the wins that Central Ion has, and you look through the coaching staff of Schmitty and you guys and Terry and Keith and Grant and Cody, and when you don't get that turnover every year, you just got guys who are just so dedicated. I mean, it's so much fun to come and play for. You were just looking forward for the opportunity. So
Blessed. Blessed.
Yeah, we all were.
Yep. Yeah.
It's a good deal.
Got some stats for us?
I do. We'll kind of review the season here.
These blow people's away. These stats do.
Yeah, the team.
Now, keep in mind, this is 3A football.
Yeah.
We're talking McDonald's.
This stat line is incredible. As
But
you read through
we'll review
it.
here. Team rush for 3,721 yards.
Good God, dude.
Nick Krull ended with 204 attempts and 1,081 yards, 5.3 average. Jake had 160 attempts for 1,000 yards, 6.3. Adam Boeve had 111 attempts for 781, 7.0
We didn't
average.
come far from 3 1,000-yard rushers.
You got that right.
I know.
Good gosh.
Probably one game from it.
Yeah.
The team had 16 receptions for 258. Kemp had 9 receptions for 191, 21-yard average. So when Kemp,
you look at that on
when Kemp got the ball, when we threw the ball, it was going to be pretty efficient.
yeah.
So
And he was going to catch the ball if it was there.
that dude had hands though.
Damn good athlete.
But the team averaged 331 yards of offense per game, 28.7 points per game. Defensively, we gave up 73 total points for the season, 6.1 points per game. Led in tackles by Steve Krogman with 105, Curtis Eben at 87, Adam Boeve with 77. Adam led the team with 6 interceptions. Jeremy Gakey led the team in fumble recoveries with 5. The team forced 30 turnovers on the season.
Holy crap.
That's incredible stat.
Right.
That is
Yeah,
nuts.
we talk about this offense quite a bit, but this defense, our defense was stellar.
You're right, Nick. You're right.
We had quite a few punt blocks throughout this season too. I know Jeremy had a couple. Steve had some. I had a couple.
I felt like you and Krogman were always blocking punts.
Yeah,
Every
week. It's something you don't think about much, but against special teams and just doing that type of stuff. But part of the 30 turnovers. All district players, first team was Adam Boeve, Brad Lupkes, Derek Venegay, Corey Kempman, Nick Krull, Jake Vanderzee. First team defense was Luke Stubbe, Jeremy Gakey, Steve Krogman, Stan Metzger, Trent Herda. Second team, Curtis Eben, Dustin DeGroat, Stan Metzger as a kicker. Second team defense was Aaron Drenth, Eric Olson. Honorable mention was Wyatt Stubbe. So All-State was...
Those were fun to go. That was fun to go to the all-district meeting.
Yeah. All right. Central Line Georgia Little Rock, put yours up. And,
okay, everybody else fell in wherever you didn't put wherever you want up. And sorry, Coach.
No. All-State players, elite team, Des Moines Register, DB, was Adam Boeve. I should say Adam Boeve was elite team, first team DB, first team Des Moines Register DB, first team Iowa Newspaper Association DB. Luke Stubbe was first team Des Moines Register D-line, first team Iowa Newspaper D-line. Brad Lupkes was second team O-line. Nick Krull was second team running back. So,
people don't always know what that elite team was. I don't know. Do they still do the elite team in the register?
Yeah, they do.
That's all classes.
That's all classes,
That's all classes.
And you know how it is. We know how it is the last couple years here, too. We make that next game. We make that championship game. You two are both first team, too.
That's
It's
just how it
it's
works.
all about that, as far as you got to get in that finals.
Yeah.
But, definitely. I think you were your two-time All-Stater, two-time first-team All-Stater. I think Stubbe was, too. Both two-time first-teamers.
I trust Jeff.
Yep.
Pretty good stuff, boy.
Yes.
School records. Team set the total rushing yards in a game versus Cherokee with 553.
I would hope so.
Is that still a record, or did you guys beat that a couple years ago?
I doubt it.
I think it was really close.
But this is two-way football.
Get 'em?
That ain't the same.
Beat them?
But team set a season record for rushing with 3,720 yards, 310 yards per game. Jake had the third best single game with 254 yards against Cherokee. Nick had the fifth best game running for 214 versus MOC. Third on the career rushing list with 2,440 yards. Adam Boeve was second on the career interceptions list with 10. Sixth on the career rushing list with 1,895. Krogman was fifth on the career tackle list with 191. Luke Stubbe was sixth on the career tackle list with 186.
That's a defensive tackle.
Yeah, exactly. Myself was ninth on the career list with 174. Stan Metzger was tied fourth on the career interception list with 7.
Wow.
Tell you what, a lot of dudes.
Wow, you got that right.
A lot of memories.
Right.
That was some impressive stats.
This team had not just the characters, but they had the stats to back it all up, didn't we? Had the numbers.
Yeah, we laugh because it'd be interesting. You got Jake and Brady and Corey and those guys. I'm sure the stories that they could tell would be endless from throughout this season if we had more time. But it's it's fun to look back and review a lot of these good memories. And there's no doubt. It's crazy how fast time's gone.
Yeah.
I feel like I watched that tape and I felt really young, but I'm not young anymore.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
It's so weird how I'm so proud of those teams when you guys are playing. I'm so excited about them. But how when you watch them again and we talk like this, how much more proud I am now that those years have gone by. It seems like you get more proud of the fact that what you guys accomplished, what you guys have become, and what you guys were when you were playing Central Iowa Georgia Little Rock football, and how good a role models you guys are, and how good the kids today should really would be cool for them to be able to go back and really see how you guys
Yeah.
handle yourselves,
Yeah, if you could
how you
just do
conducted
that.
yourselves, and
Yeah.
how you the things that came from it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's nothing like a Friday night when you're going to play football. You look out in the crowd and you see all your friends and family out there and stuff. And you really know who you're playing for. You're playing for that person right beside you. You're playing for your family out in the stands, your friends, your schoolmates. And the partnership that George Little Rock has with Central Lyon, I mean, it couldn't be better. I mean, the friends that I've made from Central Lyon, I would have never made those friends at George Little Rock.
Exactly.
And the partnership we have and what we've built here, it's phenomenal.
Yeah. You and I were talking about this before we started, and Coach Evans has talked about this often. So has Toby. Our best football teams are when we've got serious contributors from GLR, and this was one of those teams for sure. And that's you can look at every one of them, and that's the way it is. Well, it's been pretty special. And think of the people. I think of myself, the people like you guys, several of them in here, and your parents, and so many of them, people that I wouldn't even know that are now lifetime friends that we wouldn't even know. I mean, we wouldn't. That's all there is to it.
Yep.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
It's been a neat deal.
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome. Thank Jeff. When Jeff reached out and said that we could, get together and do this, it was a no doubter. I'm glad it worked out because
You
the
bet.
opportunity
You bet.
to get together and kind of relive some of this time and go through this season. And that was a special time because, like Nick said, Friday. It's really impossible to beat a Friday night in Rock Rapids for a Central Lyon George Little Rock football game. It's when you think about what that means to everyone on the team, but who you're playing for and who you're representing when you take the field to see the crowd, and you just can't beat that time. So it was a special time in my life, as it was for all of us out there, and we got to play with close friends and tough kids up and down the roster. Man, it was a ton of fun. So
Yes.
And we were pretty dang good.
You got that right.
Yeah, I was just going to say, it's when you get older, you get up 20 years later. I'm in my 40s now. You look back at those years, and of course, you were really good then.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
You get better as you get older.
Right.
It
Right.
only gets better, yeah. It only gets better.
So putting these tapes on, watching them on YouTube, having that chance to look back. I put the first game on. I was like, oh, what's this going to be like? But we were pretty good.
We were
really good.
Yeah, we were really good. And
I
I
gotta
watched.
watch some tape here.
You do.
Everyone's watching tape.
Yeah, it is.
Man,
Yeah, because I don't remember. At the time, you don't think you're
No, you don't think
good.
that.
You expect to win the games, but now I think we're really good.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, honestly, you go for that time and for the athletic ability and the speed of the game. We had some high school kids in, and they're making fun of the jerseys. That's the thing they can do, but they didn't make fun of the way we hit.
No.
It was like,
Oh, no.
whoa.
Yep.
Because it was, like I said, there was bodies laying on the ground everywhere. And that's the part that it's like so fun to look back on, and the attitude that was part of this team. And it was a special year. And literally for me, it's, I was just a guy that ran around the field a lot. I should have went off for cross country the next year, I felt like, but Jesus.
Curtis, I want to go on record as saying you weren't too bad.
No, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying I ran from wide out to back to wide out to back to
That's
defense.
right. Better earn your keep, man.
Yeah, I had to put calories away that year. Holy
Until your senior year, then we.
you sold me in.
And
Yeah,
you
I
got
agree, but
rewarded.
I'm just saying that the running, I can't believe that I didn't die. But
And the last thing, go ahead.
No, go
The
ahead.
last thing I got to say is don't kid yourself, dudes. We sitting here talking about, we're sitting here patting ourselves on the back for all this great. Be lucky in the fact that there are so many programs in the state of Iowa that they can't do this because they got no history, they got nothing to talk about.
Nothing, no
you
tradition.
guys are so lucky in the fact that you got this to talk about, and you guys are the ones who created it. So don't ever forget that.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's a big thank you
It's a
from
brotherhood.
me.
It really is. This program is special in that regards. I mean,
Oh, yeah.
I think we talked about that last year. You got guys that are driving. How many hours? I mean, how many hours you drive?
Yeah.
3 hours.
Yeah.
I mean, you're not doing that in other programs.
No.
So I mean, this is a
I mean,
pretty
it's
special
unique.
program.
It is unique.
Yep.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
and I said it before, but I reiterate. I think none of us wanted to let that coaching staff down, and you guys put every effort into it, and to have a staff that pushed us to be our best, and had high expectations for us. We were lucky to have that,
Absolutely.
to have that stability within a program, and we got it now. It's a pretty special thing. So I mean, those years are pretty special to all of us.
Yep. Agreed.
I agree.
All right.
Well, finish up the 1998 season. Next week, just a reminder for everybody in here, next week, it's going to be Thursday, April 14th at 5 o'clock. So you guys got to get off work and get here a little early. We're going to have Coach Schmidt.
Happy hour, right, Dan?
Ooh.
Happy hour?
Happy hour, Dan.
Got to try and be here for Coach Schmidt.
I saw him a couple weeks ago.
You did?
Yes.
Did you?
Yeah. Looks great. Yeah.
He does.
Fun to catch up for a few minutes.
I can't wait. I can't wait to see him. I haven't seen him for several years now, at least.
So Coach Schmidt will 5 o'clock. He's going to be here with Coach Van Berkom, and our Mount Rushmore is going to be kickers. And so
Wonder why.
We're going to have Coach Van Berkom do. It's going to be kickers. No, just kickers. So we're going to go in. But the trivia question that we have going into next week, what school year did Coach Schmidt start teaching at Central Lyon? What school year? So that's 18. 18. Yeah. What year did it get built? No. So again, I want to thank Adam, Nick, and Brad for attending, being part of this, and giving it.
Thanks,
Coach
guys.
Jeff Cruz for a lot of the time, effort, and energy from the back side of it. He doesn't get enough credit for it. Again, like I say, if you have questions, if you have ideas, feedback, our inbox on Twitter is open. Hit us up. I'll let Jeff respond to you. But we'll let we're here for ideas. Again, this is brought to you by the CLGLR Touchdown Club that we through that fundraises through our quarterback club. So we big part of our program history. So until next week.
We'll be back again soon, but in the meantime, please rate, review, and subscribe. Tell your friends about our podcast, as we are now available on YouTube, iTunes, Google Podcasts, and Spotify. And of course, follow us on social. We are at CLGLR Football on Twitter and Instagram. Or you can contact us by emailing clglrfb@gmail.com. Thanks for listening, and go Lions!